today's card is going to be part of my series on using our older cartridges, and I thought I'd start with something that I think was probably one of the more popular ones, and that's Mickey and Friends. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the image on page 93, and it's this lovely image of Mickey and Minnie together. Okay, so the first thing we've got here is our template. Now this is the actual card base that I have already got in it. I'm just using it, or I just used it as a basic template to show me when I'm sizing my characters and my background cuts, etc., that it would all fit on. I'm doing an 8x8 card with a scalloped edge, so that's what we've got here. Okay, so the next thing is my background layer, and you can see how I've just got the little scallops showing around the edge of it. Okay, so the next sheet I've got is with my main image on, and here we've got Mickey and Minnie, which is at 6.75, and obviously all the respective layers are in 6.75. What I was able to do here, what you're able to do with the Gypsy, of course, is blank out the opposite of whichever one you want to cut. So on this one I want to cut out Mickey's little shorts in one colour, so I've blanked out Minnie's dress, and vice versa when I did Minnie's stuff. However, if we just move over to here, so what I've got here is a little top hat, which I have sized up again by being able to use my Gypsy to sort of place it over Mickey's head and then determine the size that I wanted it to be. So this little hat is actually sized at 3.25, and it is taken from the Cricut cartridge. Now it also has a little cane as part of the image, so again, using my Gypsy, I just blanked that out because I didn't want the cane. Okay, so now just moving across, what we've got here is what would be Mickey's shoes and Minnie's shoes. So again, we're just doing Mickey here, and then Mickey and Minnie's gloves and all the white areas. So again, I want the gloves in a different colour, not in white, so I have blanked everything else out except for the gloves, and this is part of the hat. This is just the brim on the hat. Okay, and then down here we've got all the white area, and I've blanked out the two sets of gloves so that I just cut out the pieces I want, and then we've got Mickey and Minnie's face, which I've also done in white because I will colour that in using my pro markers. Okay, so going to my next layer, I had actually put on here the tongues for Mickey and Minnie, so they're in the corner here. But mostly what we've got on here is we've got Minnie's bow, we've got Minnie's dress, which again I have blocked out Mickey's shorts using the advanced feature here. Then I've got Minnie's gloves, which again I've blocked out everything else using this advanced feature key over here, and just leaving her gloves. So then I've got this Mr. and Mrs., which is done at 2 inches and comes from the Sweethearts cartridge. Lastly, I have got what looks like the Bride and Groom, which comes from Stretch Your Imagination cartridge, but actually if you look closely, what I've done is I have completely got rid of everything except for the inside line of her veil, and it's the veil that I'm going to be using on Minnie, and I have done that image at 10 inches. So we're at my Cricut. I've linked up my Gypsy, and I've loaded up my first piece of paper, which is this gorgeous piece of paper which is from Die Cuts with the View. I think it's the Sweethearts collection or something like that. So I've got that ready, and this is going to be my first layer. So pop that in. Okay, so that's our first, oops, very sticky mat, first cut, and that's that. Really worked out really nicely actually, the way the position of that cut with the writing, so I'm pleased with that. So we'll put that to one side. Okay, so now we're going to do this page. So I've loaded up my mat with my paper, as you can see. Okay, so we'll just pop that in. Make sure it's nice and straight. Load mat. And unload my mat. And there we've got our gorgeous Mickey and Minnie cut out beautifully. So we'll start to take those apart and we'll do the next layer. Okay, we're doing our third sheet, so I've loaded up my paper. Unload the mat. And that's all cut out, so we're going to take this all back to the table now and start putting our Mickey and Minnie together. Okay, so I've taken all the pieces off the mat, so now we need to put our Mickey and Minnie back together. So I have taken the two white faces and I've coloured them in using the blush coloured Pro marker. Okay, there's our Mickey and Minnie in their wedding outfit. Now the only thing I need to add is Mickey's little hat to go on there and Minnie's veil. So we'll just add those on now. Go. And there we go, there they are, fully dressed in their wedding gear. I think that looks so cute. Okay, so now we need to make up the rest of the card. So let's put this to one side. So we've got our piece of background paper and it's cut out really nicely. I'm really pleased with where it's gone. I've got my little Mr. and Mrs. there as well. And I've also got some white ribbon which I thought would look really nice just tied around here. So let's just cut some off so we can do our lovely old cheetah method. I just want to make sure that both sides are silky, so that's perfect. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue runner on the end of the ribbon. Come on. There we go. That's better. And then I can work out where I want it. Now I'm not too worried about covering up the happily ever after because Mickey and Minnie are actually going to cover that up anyway, so in a way I think it might look better if it's covered over. So then we need to get my ATG and put some glue. All the edges again. This is really lovely cardstock. As I say, this was die cuts from the View. I'm not sure exactly what stack it was, but I think it was like Sweetheart stack or something like that. Okay, so just pop like so. Let's get rid of this piece of paper. And then popping this to one side for a minute, we're going to put some foam tape on the back of Mickey and Minnie. So that they pop up nicely. Obviously I can't do the tails, but we'll do that with just a bit of glue sticking them down so that they don't get ruined, and that will just actually give them some dimension as well because they're sort of sticking down. Small piece just on the veil as well, so that I don't want their legs to bend. There we go, just a small amount. Okay, so we just take the backing foam off. Backing tape off the foam, I should say. Okay, so let's put Mickey and Minnie on my card. Just want to make sure that they fit in nicely. I think that looks good. So let's press them down, and then I just want to take a little bit of glue and just run it along the back of the tail, and then just stick the tail down because I don't want it sort of getting wrecked because it's flapping about. Okay, so there's two more things to do. One is to do my little bow, so we're going to do that first. We're going to put a bow there, so let's snip a bit of, well, I'm just going to do a knot really actually. So snip a bit of my ribbon, slide that in there. I'm fortunate that this particular ribbon is actually silky on both sides. Okay, so I don't have to worry. And then this snip at an angle. And snip at an angle. So far so good. And then lastly, I'm hoping to put my Mr. and Mrs. on. But, oh, there we go. I was thinking it might look better on a plain piece of pink card, so let's just go and see if we can do that. So I've got a piece of this lovely silver cardstock that was Mickey's shoes, and okay, just turn it over and press it down so it goes down and sticks nicely. There we go. Then using my craft knife, I'm just going to cut along the bottom here. Actually, I'll turn it this way, it'll be easier. And then turn it this way. Making sure I'm holding it nice and firmly. And the ruler. And I'm just going to take the corners off using my corner chomper. Okay, so I've just taken the corners off the bottom, and I think actually I'm going to pop this just here, and I'm just going to use my pin flare glue, but not to make it pop up, but because there's slightly different levels there, and there's also quite glittery, so I think it would stick down better if I just use this. So let's just turn that over. So I want a little bit of a thickness there, not as I say to raise it up, but just to account for the different levels. Then we'll just take that and pop this just up, and there we go. So that's the outside of the card, and I think now we ought to do something on the inside, just a congratulations or something like that. So I found just a really simple sticker, but I think this works really well, and it just says have a perfect day. So we're just going to pop that on the inside, and these are from Pin Flare. Go. So that just finishes that off lovely. Okay, well I hope you've enjoyed making this card with me, and I'd love to hear your comments, and I'd love for you to subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye.